must register and submit registration slips to myself or to the secretary. Following the hearing, we'll conduct a meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave. The applicant and town board will be contacted about tonight's decision. Any other persons wishing to receive a copy of the decision can sign a sheet at the front of the room. Those of you wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure we will follow for the hearing each application is as follows. After each application is read, the applicant, their agent, or representative will have a maximum of 10 minutes to represent their application, followed by any questions or comments from the committee. Then all correspondence will be read. Then all others in favor will have a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. Anyone objecting will then have a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. I will then ask for staff comments. And finally, the applicant will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes for rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone, state their name, and direct their comments to the committee. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located. Tonight's hearing will be videotaped and tapes will become part of the record. Comments that are based on rumors, hearsay, or secondhand information, as well as racial or other prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The committee has looked at all the properties and will record, and the record will reflect these observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this committee has 10 days from tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Board of Adjustments. Information and applications are available from the zoning office. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 10-day period. I will now introduce the committee. To my far left is Larry Crawford, and Mike Likeness, Bob Wadle. I'm Joe Piasky, I'm the vice chair. And to my right is Terry Dopp-Hockstead, zoning administrator. Okay, our first application is a conditional use. Shirley Hyde from Oshkosh has made an application for conditional use after the fact in accordance with sections 58-236-18 and 58-454, third parentheses 31 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to start 1991 34-foot wilderness Cimarron travel trailer in AG General Agricultural Zone. The location is approximately a 20.170 acre parcel of land known as Lot 12 of the Certified Survey Map number 4272, being part of the north one-half of the southwest one-quarter of the southeast one-quarter, Section 23, Town of Hancock, Brown Deer Court. And the applicant here? You want to come up? State your name and tell us about your project.
My name's Shirley Hyde. I'd like the application says park my travel trailer there. I like to keep it there for when I go over hunting, so I have a place to stay. It's between me, and then when my family members come over for hunting too, we can stay in there instead of finding somewhere else to go. It's I had it over there not knowing that I needed a permit or a conditional. I didn't know none of this because it's back in the middle of nowhere. You can't see it from the road, you know. So now that I know I need it, I'm doing that. I don't know. I'm not sure what I have to say. This is all new to me. I know I had started cutting in a trail partway on that lot, and I have more to cut, but it should be cut enough that I can get it in there. I have to cut a few more trees down to park it in that spot that I put on there of where I would move it to. And because I know where it's parked right now, it's too close to the lot lines of my neighbors, which I didn't realize you had to be so far away anyhow. So I have it registered now, because I know when I bought the camper I never registered it because it wasn't going to move. It was just there for staying in if I go between hunting or stay on the weekend for cutting trees and whatnot. So I would just like to keep it parked there. It makes it easier. I mean, because towing a 34-footer, that's a bit of a chore. So.
Okay, we have some committee questions for you.
Is the trailer present on the property now?
Yes,
Is the trailer licensed and road ready?
it is now. Yes, I have it licensed.
Is the trailer at least 100 feet from all lot lines?
Not yet, because I didn't know if I could move it before the hearing tonight or not, so I didn't move it because I didn't know if you guys would accept it or not, because why should I cut more trees down and move it over if I'm gonna have to move it out? So it's not 100 feet yet.
Has there been a recent survey?
When the land was purchased, there had been a survey done, and that I got a certified copy of the survey map downstairs in that a couple months ago.
Are you sure the lot lines?
The posts are all still there from when we had bought it, so
Will there be running water?
no. No well water.
What type of sanitation facilities are planned other than what is contained in the trailer?
Just a porta potty and that.
Are there any other buildings planned?
Oh, yeah, I have an 8x10 vinyl shed. I would like to park behind, or put behind it, that way I can keep my four-wheeler in there when I go over hunting and that, keep it stored inside.
Are there other trailers in the area?
On my property, no.
Neighboring?
I can't see them, and that, I know one of my neighbors had applied for the conditional use, I think that was last year, and that, but other than that, I'm not sure if there are for sure more over there. There probably are, but I can't see them from where I'm at, and I don't go on anyone else's land, so.
Is there a new driveway needed?
There's an easement that I used to get in. I know the easement going down that hill is pretty pretty rough, and that it's got some big old ruts in it. The sand seems to wash out every time we get major storms.
Is the property in forest management now?
No.
Do you have any uniform property address number?
No.
That's all I have.
Anybody else have any other questions? Not, then you can go sit down. Do we have any correspondence?
We have no correspondence and no one registered to speak either for or against the application.
Staff comments?
For the record, the committee has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other pertinent data for this and all the other applications they'll be considering tonight. I'd like to explain just a little bit about conditional uses for the benefit of the people here, because I know it's kind of confusing sometimes. Every zoning district in the county has permitted uses. So both of our applications happen to be in the general agricultural zone. So in that zone, you can build a house, you can do farming activities. You know, there's a number of things that are listed that are permitted. And then it also has a bunch of things that are listed that are conditional uses. They're uses that are going to be, that are, if you get a permit through the public hearing process, you can have in that zone, but there's conditions placed on them. And that helps make sure that they fit in with the surrounding uses. And this one happens to be for the long-term storage of a travel trailer. You can camp on your property if you can take the camper with you. But in this case, it's going to be difficult to take the camper back and forth. I'll admit that the committee did not see your camper because we weren't going down that road in the van that we had. So we didn't see it, you know, and that's why you're here tonight. It's for that long-term unoccupied storage. If you could haul it in when you camped and took it out when you left, you'd be okay. But there will be conditions on it to make sure that it keeps in keeping with the surrounding uses. And there is an annual inspection of it. So that's what we're looking at here, and it's the landowner's responsibility to provide the information that shows the committee that this is a use that is in keeping with the surrounding area. The committee noted the location was very isolated when we were out there. It's a private dead-end road. There are other travel trailers in the area, and there will need to be a uniform address number assigned if this is approved. And that's it. And then we'll take care of that when we assign the number.
Anything the applicant would like to rebut? Rebuttal, if you want to say something, Ann? If not, that's fine. We'll move on to the next one. Next one is Woodland Builders LLC from Pine River. Has made an application for a conditional use in accordance with Section 58-54 Cherokee County Zoning Code to establish construction business utilizing existing 50 by 125-foot building for storage, including remodel of the interior 25 by 44 portion for a showroom, office, and bathrooms in the AG General Ag Zone. An approximately 24.09 acre parcel of land known as Lot 4, certified survey map number 5471, being part of the southeast one quarter of the northeast one quarter and part of the northeast one quarter of the northeast one quarter, east of County Road Double X, Section 15, Town of Aurora, County Highway Double X. Is the applicant here? Your name and state what you're trying to do.
I'm Nick Krause. I own a Woodland Builders Construction.
Nick or Mick?
Nick. I'm owner of Woodland Builders Construction. About 2 months ago, I purchased the property from Bill Philippi on land contract, and I am using the shed right now just to store my skid loader, my Skytrack, and hand tools. I'm planning on remodeling the inside, just building 3 partition walls so I can have a bathroom and then my office area so I can have a desk and keep all my paperwork centralized in one location. The office also will be used to meet clients to go over plans. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward.
Any committee questions?
Mr. Krause, will there be any employees outside of the immediate family, and if so, how many do you anticipate?
I hired one guy, but he owns his own. He's self-employed. He just comes and helps me. Other than that, as of right now, it's just me and that one other guy. Maybe my brother once in a while, but that's it.
What sort of traffic do you anticipate for construction material delivery?
Little to none. Maybe once in a great while if we're going to prefab a wall or something, we'd do it in the shop, but other than that, very little.
What about employee traffic and client meetings? How much traffic do you anticipate for that?
Well, we build one house about every 4 months, so that's one family coming maybe once a week. And then employee traffic, I go there every day just to check on stuff or work on stuff right now. And it'd basically be me once a day, maybe a couple other vehicles once a day. The traffic really won't increase at all from me being there.
What kind of parking do you think you'll need?
I have a huge gravel lot right now, and I have a blacktop pad on my south side of my building that can park probably 6 vehicles side by side, but there'll never really be that many vehicles there.
Planning on an advertising sign at all?
Yeah, in the front yard I have a 4x8 sign with my logo on it.
Are you aware of the state building codes and other state requirements that will need to be complied with for the employees and general public, and will they be met? Anticipate. Okay. What sort of sanitary facilities are you planning?
Existing for this building's pretty old, 50 or 60 years old. Way back in the day, they had a septic tank, a pump tank tied into the mound system. But now, since we're going to be under 150 gallons per day, a lot less, we're just going to have the 2 bathrooms. One just for the office, so it stays nice and clean, and then one that you can only access from the shop side. And it'll be bath, toilet, sink, and possibly a small shower in the shop side. But
Are there any floor drains planned in the building, and if so, how will the waste be disposed of if you have them?
there's no floor drains in the shop side. Right now, there's existing floor drains because 50 years ago they used that building as a migrant camp when they had Gatsky Farms or there or something. So there's shower rooms and there's floor drains and stuff now, but I'm putting a 2-inch concrete slab over the top of that so it levels it all out to avoid all the drains and stuff, so it's easy for me to tile and carpet and stuff. But other than that, the only drains in the building will be in the bathrooms for the sink and the toilet.
Are there any other changes, additions, or buildings planned other than what you've indicated on the site plan? No. Will all the activities be inside and no business or products stored on the outside? Are you plan? Go ahead.
The only time there would ever be anything stored outside is if, say, a couple sheets of plywood got dropped off tonight, and they're going to be sitting in my blacktop pad for till tomorrow morning, probably.
Are you have any plans for a new driveway or anything?
Probably upkeep the driveway and add gravel every year so it stays nice looking. But
Has there been a recent survey out?
Yeah, I think right when we bought the land, it was surveyed.
So you know where the lot lines are?
Yeah, I know exactly where the lot lines are.
And finally, if approval was granted, when would the improvements be done and the business started?
The business is going right now. We're just using it right now to store all our equipment, and I go in there every day to get it. I'm getting my workbenches put in and stuff like that. But as soon as I had the okay from you guys, I build the partition walls as long as I have time, probably weekends.
Any other questions, anybody? Any correspondence? You can take a seat. Any correspondence?
Yes, we have 3 letters on this application. The first one is from the town of Aurora, and we received it October 18th, and it is addressed to me, Dear Terry. At a regular meeting of the Town of Aurora Board on October 14th, 2010, the issue of Woodland Builders, LLC, to convert buildings formerly used by Aurora Farms, a vegetable farm in the town of Aurora, to accommodate offices, storage equipment, and workspace for a construction business involved in building and remodeling. Partners Nick Krause and Tom Philippi were present to explain plans for their operation. They will mainly be operating out of the onion storage building. Holding tanks will be installed to accommodate plumbing, and a 4x8 sign will be erected to identify the business. Asked by the board if outside storage of equipment would take place, the applicants responded that no regular outside storage of equipment is planned. There was no opposition to the zone change from anyone present at the meeting. After discussion, a motion was made by Supervisor Kevin Krentz and seconded by Supervisor Young and passed. The motion states that the board approves granting the conditional use with the stipulation that no outside storage would be allowed. The second letter we received is from Toma Excavating in Berlin. It's dated 9/21/2010. To whom it may concern, this is a letter to confirm that the building that Woodland Properties and Homes, LLC, purchased from Aurora Farms, County Road X, Berlin, in the town of Aurora, Waushara County, will be using 150 gallons per day or less for their sewage waste, and a 2,000-gallon holding tank will be installed on this property to serve that building. And that's signed by William Toma, Master Plumber Restricted and Certified Soil Tester, with his number. And lastly, we received a letter from the Waushara County Highway Commission dated September 20th. And again, it's addressed to me, Terry. Mike Kelly and I have discussed the request by Tom Philippi on County XX. The 2 existing driveways were already there when county zoning regulating driveways took effect. After field reviewing the site, we do not anticipate any problems with the request, which would leave both driveways at their current locations. Feel free to contact me with any questions and or comments you have had. You may have. Sincerely, Tom Dalkey, Waushara County Highway Commissioner. And that's all the correspondence, and no one registered to speak.
Staff comments.
Just a reminder, this is the same as the last application. This is a conditional use permit. It does not change the underlying zoning. The zoning is going to remain general agricultural. This is just that special exception or permit that is allowed with conditions. While visiting the site, the committee noted that there should not be a concern with traffic. The driveways are ample in width and have very good visibility. There's room for a sign. A survey was done previously. The applicant has contacted a plumber regarding adequate sanitary facilities. And there's a lot of room inside the buildings for storage of equipment, materials, and vehicles. In addition, they noted that this is a good reuse of an otherwise abandoned agricultural building. And that's it.
Anything you want to say? Okay, now we'll adjourn to the next room down the hall and right to our rest of our meeting. The applicants are welcome to join us in there.
And the board will convene for the other applications.
You can stay. We'll check on you tomorrow.
Hang on, and we'll come by and let you know.
We'll shut the door, sneak out the back.
Please stay in the room. Dan, I hear you aren't even doing anything next month. Yeah.
Only usually it's if someone's retiring and stuff, so otherwise forget it.
Maybe. You know, there is the thing of income. They
we do, and that's,
how it works?
I'll call this meeting of the Washera County Board of Adjustments to order. This meeting will be conducted in the same manner as the applications heard by the zoning committee. Anyone other than the applicant or representative wishing to speak at this hearing must have registered. Anyone who has not should do so immediately and submit the registration slip to myself or the secretary. The board has looked at all the properties and the record will reflect these observations. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct its monthly meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to file an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the circuit court. Information is available from the county zoning office. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. Now I'll introduce the rest of the board. To my left are Fred Gellerup, Larry Tim, George Wilson, Jim Warwick. My name is Roger Wagner. First variance to be considered tonight, David Klein, New Berlin, Wisconsin, has made an application for variance in accordance with section 58-542, paragraph C, and paragraph 2 of the Washera County Zoning Code to allow an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling to remain within 10 feet of the proposed lot line after removal of an 8x10 portion of the dwelling, 15-foot setback required, and an accessory building to remain within 3 feet of the proposed lot line, 7.5-foot setback required in the RS20 single-family residential zone within the shoreline area. Location, a parcel of land known as the west one half of lot 23 and lots 24, 25, and 26 of the Wilson Park plat, being part of government lots 1 and 2, section 12, town of Springwater, Long Lake, W4991 Wilson Road. Is the applicant here? Come forward, please. You state your name for the record.
David Klein.
Okay, David. Anything you would like to tell us first? Otherwise, we've got some general questions to ask you.
Well, just to explain, you know, when the land was purchased, the lot sizes were 50-foot widths, and the building that's existing was placed within the zoning restrictions at the time. Now, with the 65-foot width lot minimum size, I'm trying to sell one of the pieces of land. I'm trying to sell 65 feet, which puts the lot line too close to the building. So as you read in the description, we have I'll call it a bedroom. I don't know if you've seen the property. It's not really a house. It's more like a cabin. So that part we would remove in order to allow access. You know, it's not going to be 15 feet from the lot line, but it would give us room to maintain our existing building without trespassing on the other property. So I guess that's pretty much the gist of what I'm trying to do.
Okay. We see by the packet, has there been a recent survey, and do you know where all the lot lines are?
The survey was done in August, and I know where the lot lines are. They were marked.
Okay. Have you talked to your neighbors about this?
I have not. Well, actually, the neighbor to the east, they know about it. The neighbor to the west, I don't think that I talked to them about it.
Okay. Have you considered any other options as, you know, selling the easterly?
If you look at the survey plat, what you end up with the same situation on the other side of the cabin. A 65-foot width puts the 65-foot line too close to the cabin. I'd have to remove something on that side as well. It's one of those ones where there's no. I looked at both sides and there's no way to do it without having something too close to the lot line.
Okay, your cabin's very small now.
Yes.
You know, there's this county has a minimum 720 square foot, and you're going to take off an 8x10. Do you plan on adding anything to the cabin, or?
I hadn't actually planned on it. We would be willing to essentially replace the removed portion on a different side of the building if you require us to do that. I think it's important to understand it's an occasional use. It's a weekend, someplace to get out of the rain if it rains. Otherwise, we're up there, playing in the water basically. And so it's not really a living facility. There's no running water inside. There is electricity inside. The running water is simply a wellhead outside. So it's not like we're going to move in or spend a month there. It's really just an occasional use place.
Okay, the outhouse is 3 feet from the line. Do you plan on upgrading this to meet the 7.5 setback?
I wasn't planning to. I was hoping that as part of this variance that would be included in the variance. We could leave it where it is. There would be enough room around it to maintain it without trespassing on the other property, even though it's obviously closer than 15 feet to the lot line.
You realize the pit privy is not allowable.
Yeah,
It needs to be upgraded to a vault type at least.
And if that's a ruling, then we would be willing to do that.
Okay. Do you have any plans or considerations for the steps that would be going down? They would be going on the other lot that you're going to sell, correct?
We would abandon those if the purchasing person would have free use of it. They would be on their land, and the part that's on the side we're selling, we would just that would be part of the sale of the property. Those steps would remain there and belong to the new owner.
Any other improvements that you would plan on doing at this time if
Well, if we sold it and the steps were on the other lot line, then obviously we would have to put steps on our property so that we could get down to the lake. So that would be one improvement that would happen. In addition to, if you require us to add, we would add that, bedroom, if you will, area.
what really hardship is there, or what's unique about this property that would support your case for us approving this?
That's a hard question. I'm not sure how to answer that. Because of the way the building was placed on the existing 50-foot lots, there's no way to sell any portion of that 65 feet without getting closer to 60, without having the building be too close to the lot line on either side. So I guess the need is that because it was placed according to the regulations at the time, and the regulations changed, that puts us in as owners, that puts us in a situation where we have this, if we choose to sell part of our property, we have this building that doesn't conform, and sort of moving the entire building, which you've seen the building, it's not, that's not a good solution. It's not, that would cost more than the building's worth.
Do you, by selling this lot off, do you anticipate that the new owners would need a variance to build on it?
I don't think so. I don't think so. If there's no structures on the part that we're trying to sell, so if they purchased a lot and wanted to build a home or something, then they would follow whatever zoning regulations are required, and a 65-foot lot should allow them to build and be in conformance with the regulations. I don't see that would be a problem.
Isn't there quite a hollow to that lot, though? Towards the road?
Toward the road there is, but I would guess most likely people would put their house on the top of the hill, overlooking the lake, away from where that hollow is. So from the standpoint of actually using the lot, they might have to either fill or grade part of it for a driveway to get over that to where they could get to the house. If I was building there, that's what I would do.
If an approval were granted, do you plan on submitting a certified survey map for this other lot?
Yes, the survey map is already, I forget who has it, the zoning office. Well, actually, I think Town of Springwater has it, but if you approve this, they will approve it and send it up here. It has been recorded. Mr. Moe did the survey map.
It hasn't been recorded
Oh,
yet,
it
because it
hasn't been
hasn't
recorded.
been
It has to be
approved.
approved first, and then it'll be recorded. I'm sorry.
Any other committee questions? Anything?
No, I would just, my observation is if you have your half a lot is to the east, and another 50-footer, it looks to me like you could sell 65 feet on the east and be really close to 15 feet, if not 15 feet off that lot line, or off the cabin.
It's hard for me to tell. Did you all get a map?
Yep.
You all have this. Where that dotted line is, I looked at that and said that's probably a little bit farther away from the lot line than the outhouse is, and he's got the outhouse listed at 5 feet, or 3 feet at the closest. So I'm looking at that and going, maybe it's 10 feet from the lot line? I mean, I didn't measure it, I didn't walk it off, and I didn't have Mr. Moe stake that.
But the dotted line would be 75 feet over from your easterly lot line, because you have a half a lot plus a whole lot, so you have 75 feet there.
Oh, okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, I see what you're saying.
So if we move that middle line, the one just east of your cottage, over 10 feet, we're probably 15 feet from your cottage.
It would be real close, yeah. If not 15 feet, it would be very close. Yes, I see what you're saying. And yes, we did consider that. If you won't grant the variance for what we want to do, we would consider selling the other part of it. We would really prefer to sell the part that we've requested, mostly because that's the way we use it, and that's what we're used to, and that's what we'd like to keep.
Okay. No other questions? You can have a chair then, I guess. No correspondence?
No correspondence and no one registered to speak.
Staff comments?
For the record, the board has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other pertinent data for this and all the other applications they're going to be considering tonight. And they've also visited all the properties and viewed the proposals actually on site. So they have been out there. At this time, I'd like to explain a little bit about variances. Variances ask for a relaxation of a dimensional standard in the code. The decision to grant a variance must be backed by substantive reasons. They're actually, outlined by law. And these include an unnecessary hardship is being caused by the code requirement. There are unique limitations or conditions on the property that prevent the landowner from meeting the required dimensional standards. And if the variance is granted, no harm will be done to the public interest or the zoning code. So those are the three standards that have to be met. It's the applicant's responsibility to present their case and provide the burden of proof as to why the variance should be granted. The personal situation of the applicant, financial hardship, nearby violations, none of those can be considered as valid reasons to grant a variance. At this particular site, the board observed that steep slopes do exist towards the lake. There is a ravine near the road on the northwest corner which could limit building alternatives on the proposed lot. They also noticed that the existing cabin and privy could be relocated. The landowner has reasonable use of the property already. A hardship does not appear to exist, and the easterly portion of the lot could be sold without the need for a variance. That's it.
Okay. The applicant have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Next variance to be considered, Merle and Carol Austin, Wild Rose, Wisconsin. I made an application for variance in accordance with section 58-232, paragraph 3, and 58-826, paragraph B of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct a 2-story, 35 by 40 foot and a 9 by 26 irregularly shaped detached garage, 22 feet in height, 18-foot maximum height, and 1 story allowed, coming to within 25 feet of the right-of-way of Echo Lake Road, 30-foot setback required in the RS-20 single-family residential zone within the shoreland area. Location, an approximate 90 by 100-foot parcel known as lots 6 and 7, block 6 of Twin Lakes subdivision being part of the southeast one quarter, Section 3, Town of Springwater, Pine Lake, West Pine Lake Road, and Echo Lake Road. Would the applicant come forward, please?
Good evening, thank you.
Did you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Merle Austin. My wife Carol and I live at N7010 West Pine Lake Road. We live there part-time currently. We plan to make that our primary residence, and as such, we would like to construct a garage across the street on the land we own to provide for some storage, place for some automobiles. We have no basement, no attic in our home that's on the lake, so I won't go through all the things that were in the proposal because I know you've seen that. If you have questions, you can ask me, and I know you've visited the site because my wife's caught you there. So I don't think I need to say a lot, except I did visit personally every neighbor at least 2 to 3 lots deep all around, except for one I missed because he hasn't been up for the last several weeks. And he's 2 lots away, and they've all signed off. I've explained what I wanted to do. You have those copies. A couple of them are verbal, only because they said they normally don't sign papers, but they had no objection to what I was doing. I spoke to Everett Eckstein, our town chairman. He said he has no problem as long as the neighbors are comfortable with it. And as you can see, that road that I'd like to get a little closer to is not really a road at all and never will be because it's a dead end. It does provide access to those 3 homes on that side, and that would not be changed. So.
Okay. Just a few general questions for the record then. Has there been a recent survey out there?
I don't know that there's been a recent survey, but I uncovered all 4 of the original stakes.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed that when you were there. The one side of the lot had been surveyed by my neighbor, so that's how we had 2 of the stakes found. And I dug, one was about 6 inches deep and one was about 15 inches deep. So.
Okay. And you're sure the road right-of-ways, is that platted, that you know where the road right-of-ways are?
Right, that's platted. And Amy was out, Amy Bone, and flagged a front lot line for me because I don't have to be quite 30 feet off of that road because the neighboring structures are not. I needed to be 22 and a half. I've staked it out for 23 just to be cautious.
Okay. Do you feel erosion or stormwater runoff will be a problem on that lot?
No, it's a relatively flat lot and it drains to the back, which is a lot of soft ground there in the back, as you might have noticed, so there's no water running.
Okay. What type of foundation would this be on?
It'll be concrete, what I believe you call, it's like a 1-foot concrete around the outside and then a 6-foot or 6-inch concrete floor.
Okay. How far above existing grade will the first floor be?
Basically at grade, just enough to get some drainage away toward the blacktop. I want to be about 8-10 inches above that blacktop at least.
Okay. And finished height is going to be about 22 feet?
Yeah, not quite 22 with attic storage. That's what I like to do.
Okay.
I want to do a 10-12 roof to try to give it some nice appearance there rather than build what looks like just a big garage.
Okay, the height variance request is to accommodate a second-story storage, is that correct?
Storage only, yes.
Okay, any other improvements planned at this time to the area?
No, that'll be it.
And all other setbacks will be met, is that correct?
That's correct.
Have you considered any other options, such as a larger footprint and keeping it to 1 story?
I have, but a couple of things. One, the reality of it is, for the types of things we want to store when we give up our other home, I'd rather not have them on the concrete floor. I'd rather have them second-floor storage. It's the kind of things that you have in your attic or if you have in the basement of home where it's good dry storage. So I prefer to go up if I can. We're trying not to go further to the south because my one neighbor does have a decent view of the lake from up on his ridge across the south end of that property, and I told him I don't need to build there, I won't. So I'm trying to stay away from that area. I think when I heard you read the proposal, the building may have been overstated. It's 35 feet if you take the irregular base. So it's 26 by 40 and then a 9-foot off to the side of it. So it's not 35 plus that 9, it's 26 plus the 9 make 35. I may have misheard you or got misnoted somewhere.
Okay. So the actual garage portion will be 26 by 40,
Right, and then kind of for
9.
lawnmowers and stuff will be the 9 by 26. going
9
the
by
other way.
26 bump out, so to speak?
Right, right. Thought it would give it a little bit more character as well.
Will there be enough room for parking in front?
Yes, it'll be 23 feet from the street.
Okay. And is there enough room there for a turnaround, or will you be backing out onto the road, or?
Would be backing out like our current driveway, yes.
And part of your hardship is that you're surrounded by roads on 3 sides, correct?
That's correct.
What other hardship or is unique to this property that would support your request for the second story?
Another, for the second story is just primarily my interest not to store on the ground floor, I guess. And as I said, I did contact all the neighbors, and that 20 feet is not really a big problem for any of them. It will not exceed the height of other structure there in the area. And those homes across the way, as you may have noted, are on a ridge relative to where this will be. So their view will be no more obstructed than it would be by my house currently. In fact, it'll be much considerably lower than the current roof of my house, which is across the street.
Okay, if an approval were granted, do you know what permits you're going to need to build this?
Right, and my builder was hoping to be here tonight, but he couldn't make it, but he's very familiar.
Okay. Who would your contractor be?
Warren Jones, most likely. We haven't contracted yet, but he did the work on my house and
Okay.
familiar with the area.
And if an approval were granted, when would you start construction?
Tomorrow afternoon. Quite soon, I think. As you know, everybody's looking for work right now, so it'd be a nice job for him this winter.
Okay. Any other committee questions? Okay, thank you. 19 letters, they all the same?
19 letters, but 3 of them are similar, so I'll read
Okay.
one and tell you everybody that signed it.
Okay.
Christine did a very good job. You had tax parcel numbers on there, because quite honestly, I couldn't read a lot of people's writing. So then we figured out who they were, so that helped a lot too. This one says, Dear Planning and Zoning Committee members and Board of Adjustment members, I am aware of Merle Austin's plans to build an approximate 30-foot wide by 40-foot deep by 22-foot high garage on the vacant lot across the grass road from my property. I do not object to this building or locating it 25 feet from the right-of-way. And the same letter was signed by a Steve Belair, John Ozuski, Heather Blackburn, and Fred Cook. Do you want to write them down, or just they'll be in here? So.
On record, I guess so.
The second one says, I am aware of Merle Austin's plans to build an approximate 30 by 40 by 22 high garage on the vacant lot across the road from his property. I do not object to this building or locating it 25 feet from the right-of-way. And this one was signed by Brian Kind, Pat Hainault, Leroy Wilson, Dave Mogush, and Glenn Smith. Lastly, this one says, I am aware of Merle Austin's plans to build an approximate 30 by 40 by 22 garage across the street from his home at N7010 West Pine Lake Road. I do not object to this building or locating it 25 feet from the right-of-way of the grass road behind the property. And this one was signed by Robert Meredith, Lana Klotz-Bucher, Mel Connor, Nicholas Louders, Mary Busco, Frank Seitz, Daniel Blackburn, Thomas Afaro, Ron Vandekolk, and Marie Claffey. So that is the correspondence we have.
No one registered to speak in favor or objecting. Staff comments?
Keep in mind that the same variance requirements apply to this and the other two applications. When the board was out there, they observed that this is a backlot off Pine Lake, and it is surrounded by 3 platted roads. The roads are public, but are relatively undeveloped. We're looking at Echo Lake Road to the west. I believe the one to the south is called Fa Avenue, but we were having trouble deciding what. Fa Avenue. Oh, the Echo Lake goes around? I was kind of confused about what was called what out there, but there are 3 undeveloped but platted roads around this property. If you're going to speak, you're going to have to come back up because it won't be recorded. The undeveloped roads are used for access to lots to the north and the west. There is room to expand the footprint of the building and have 1 story, meeting the height limitation of 18 feet. And it should be pointed out that although the legal description notes there are 2 lots, these are substandard lots and they cannot be sold separately. The average to Pine Lake Road is going to be met. It's the setback from Echo Lake Road that would be difficult to meet on this property. And that's it.
Okay. Next variance to be considered, Mark Lemke, Cheryl Hokinson, Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, have made an application for variance in accordance with section 58-104 and 58-164 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct a 16 by 16 single-story addition with a crawl space and a 6 by 9 foot dormer onto a single-family dwelling, which previously received variance approval for a reduced ordinary high water mark setback in the RS-20 single-family residential zone within the shoreline area. Location, Lot 2 of Certified Survey Map 2,285, and adjacent parcel being part of Government Lot 1 and part of the northwest 1/4, the northwest 1/4, Section 5, Town of Marion, Irrigami Lake, N 2487 20th Lane. Would the applicant come forward, please?
I'm Mark Lemke.
Okay, Mark. Anything further to add at this time?
If you've seen the site, you know it's a pretty challenging location with the lake on one side and the wetlands behind. Because it's a challenging site, my wife and I, 3 years after we bought the home, we bought an additional 60 feet, and the addition would use 1 foot of that 60 feet. The original home was built 15 feet from the original lot line. And the second-story dormer, if the addition is added on the south side, the whole south side of the roof has to come off and be re-roofed, and there is connections for a second-story bathroom, and that's the reason for the dormer addition upstairs.
Okay.
I did, and I didn't make contact with Neil Schrader, my neighbor to the south, but I have made when I submitted the application, but I have made contact with Neil, and he has no problem with the addition. His daughter and son-in-law live there, and I walked over and talked to them as well, and they're fine with it. They really can't see it. There's so much distance in woods between our homes.
All right. Just a few general questions then for the record. Has there been a recent survey there?
The most recent surveys were provided as part of the package, and I did mark the stakes for you.
Okay. And you're sure of all the lot lines, the ordinary high water mark, and the wetland locations?
Yes.
Okay. There was a variance in 1997 that allowed the original structure to be located at its present location. Is that correct?
Yes.
Since then, you've purchased the land to the south, and you would like to add on to the south?
Yes.
Because you were right almost to the lot line at that time.
15 feet from the south lot line. Yep. That's why we bought the additional land.
The new construction, the way it was staked, will not go any closer to the lake or to the wetland. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. Again, you don't really have too many other options there, do you?
None.
How do you plan on dealing with erosion and stormwater runoff?
Given the height of that berm, that ridge that the addition will sit on, and the wetlands behind it and the lake in front, that's where the waterfall goes. I mean, it can't have erosion issues, I wouldn't imagine.
Just out of curiosity, how far does that berm continue?
All the way along the lake on that side.
Is that right?
Yes, it runs all the way to my neighbor, Neil Schrader's home. There is a weir easement that's cut through another 60 feet beyond my lot line.
And what type of foundation,
Concrete block,
concrete block, crawl space?
crawl space, poured concrete floor.
Okay. And you're gonna maintain the elevation of the first floor, is that correct?
Yes,
Basically no filling or grading?
none.
And finished height is gonna be,
It will match the, well,
Roof
the
line.
dormer is as high as the roof line on the existing home.
any other improvements planned at this time?
None.
All other setbacks will be met. Hardship and unique property limitations, you're surrounded by lake on one side and wetland on the other. Is that
Exactly.
pretty well limited there? If an approval were granted, when would you start construction?
This fall.
Any other committee questions at this time? Okay, thank you. Correspondence, none?
There's no correspondence and no one registered to speak.
Staff comments?
The board observed when they were out there visiting the site that the addition will be on a crawl space that matches the original home. And there was that purchase of additional land to the south, so that provides room for the addition. The new construction will go no closer to the lake or the wetlands than the existing home. And they also noticed that this is a fairly modest addition to a modest home. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Next variance to be considered, Anthony Wagner, Wapaka, Wisconsin, has made an application for variance in accordance with section 58-452, paragraph C and paragraph 2 of the Washera County zoning code to construct a 16 by 24 patio with a fireplace, outdoor kitchen, with a 14 by 14 foot portion covered by an open pavilion coming to within 8 feet of the easterly side lot line, 20-foot setback required in the AG General Agricultural Residential Zone within the shoreline area. Location, a parcel of land known as Lot 9 of Twin Lake Heights Plat, being part of the southeast one quarter, the northwest one quarter, Section 1, Town of Springwater, Twin Lake, W5137 North Twin Lake Road. That's got to be you, your last one here.
Anthony Wagner. I go by Tony.
Okay, Tony, do you have anything further to add at this time?
Just a few things, because I've been here several times with this project. Originally, when we built the house and about 12 years ago, and it was not our primary residence. It is now. And like most people, once you make it your primary residence, you like to upgrade some things. And we like to use the outdoors, but for various reasons, we would like to have a covered area because of protection from the sun, which was the initial reason for doing this project, which is why we wanted to cover part of the patio. When I came with the design, it was within the 8 feet side lot, and when I made the application, I was informed it had to be 15 feet because several years ago I had built the second garage, which you might have seen on the property. That was within the 8 feet, so that was my understanding when we started the project. So part of the hardship here is that when I came to make the application, I was informed that not only did it have to be 15 feet, but it had to be 20 feet because our lake is zoned agricultural, which is not like most of the lakes in our area that are zoned residential. So we readjusted the plan, And instead of having the entire area covered, we downsized that to, it's actually a 13 by 15 area. We moved it closer to the house and to accommodate the 15-foot setback. That is the only permanent structure that we're actually looking at, because the patio itself is not going to be concrete. It's just stones that are set in. We've tried to do everything very in accordance with the contour of the land for the drainage, and to make it fit both visually and environmentally with the area. In terms of the house itself and the surveys, both my neighbors on both sides had their properties surveyed within the last year and a half, so I know exactly where the lot lines were and staked it out there so you could see exactly where we were putting the covered area on here.
Okay. You've talked to both your neighbors about this project then?
I've talked with many of the neighbors about the project, yes.
And you've considered all kinds of other options, I take it, too?
Yeah, we've gone through about 3 or 4 different plans before we found something that worked. One of the other options that we had thought about was an addition onto the house to expand our dining, cooking area, but that would be quite costly compared to what we're trying to do.
That was my next question. Why did you design this at such an angle?
Well, part of the unique thing about the property is that the lots, even though they look like they're parallel to the lake, are not. They're kind of at an angle. So when the house was built on there originally, the house sits at an angle, and so if we were running it right alongside the house, we'd be crossing that 15-foot line more so towards the back of the house. If you looked at the plan, there's a diagonal line that shows you exactly where the 15-foot setback is, and I do have a large copy if you'd like to see that.
How much room do you have on the other side of the house?
It's almost exactly the same.
Okay.
And the other side of the house is essentially, when we designed this, like I said, it was the home itself. It was not our permanent residence, and actually the sides of the house, one of them is the backyard and the other one is the front entrance to the house, because when you drive up to the house, you're really on what most residents would be the side, but it's not the front of the house when you come up to it.
Okay. Your plan shows the roof extending over only a portion of this patio, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The roof portion is going to be 15 foot off the line, is that correct?
It would be within the 15-foot setback.
But the fireplace and the patio are going out another 8 foot?
It's actually, it doesn't go out another, it goes out from the building 8 feet, but there's only a few feet, just a corner of about 3-foot corner of the patio itself that would extend beyond the 15 feet. I can show you a large copy if you'd like to see that.
Sure.
This is the large copy here, and this line right here is the 15-foot setback on the lot, the dotted line that you see right there. The only portion that goes out beyond that is just this little corner.
That would be covered, correct?
No, the covered area is the portion that's closer to the house.
Okay.
One other comment, I don't know if you could you see that? One other comment that I have in terms of the fireplace, some of the things on the property were existing since before I bought the property, which was about 20 years ago. One is the fire pit, and if you were out there, you notice the fire pit is actually closer than the 75-foot setback, so by putting a fireplace out there, we are coming back to the 75-foot rather than the fire pit, and it's much more friendly in terms of keeping the fire contained when you do have a fire out there.
Has the fireplace been designed so it's not going to cause a problem for yourself or the neighbors, or, you know,
Oh, definitely.
you've got a good-sized fireplace on the plan there, and I didn't know if you,
We've actually decided to downsize that a bit. And part of the reason for that is that because the original plan called for that area to be covered also, and then the new plan to accommodate the 15-foot setback leaves that area open. So we decided to make the fireplace a little smaller.
you spoke earlier about, you know, a unique situation with the swale and the land. How are you going to deal with, you're going to be building in that swale, aren't you?
Well, the covered area is just going to be on some sonotubes that are set into the ground. And in terms of the blocks, they're basically following the contour of the land, so there's going to be very little disruption to the contour of that lot.
Even where the fireplace sits?
Correct, because actually there will be a step down from the covered area onto the patio where the fireplace is, so that it follows the contour of the land.
So you will have stormwater runoff right through there then, you're saying?
We are going to put some eaves on the porch so that we can maintain the flow of the water in the way that it does now.
You plan on doing any filling or grading there?
There would be very little filling or grading, just enough to level off the areas. That's why we designed it so that it would fit with the way the grade goes, the way the existing grade is.
Okay, the plan shows a patio area with a hot tub alongside the house, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that'll all be connected to this?
Well, I mean, you'll be able to step off the patio and go into the hot tub, correct?
Any other improvements planned at this time?
No.
All other setbacks will be met?
Yes, they have been.
And where is the existing septic system? Is this construction going to cause any problems with that?
It won't cause any problems. The existing septic system is to the north and east of the area a little bit. We will have to put some plywood down and I've already talked with the construction company that most of this work will be done by hand as not to disrupt the contour of the land and all the landscaping that we have there already.
Okay, what hardships and what's unique to this property limitations that would support your variance?
Well, the fact that we are zoned agricultural, and that requires a 20-foot setback. And the property should be zoned residential. And when I spoke with Everett, he said you should apply for this variance. I will recommend that this go, that they accept this variance, because it would take too long doing a project like this to go through and have the whole thing rezoned, because that would require rezoning of all my neighbors' properties.
If he was residential, what would it be, 15 foot?
15 feet is the residential setback for the side yard, correct.
When do you plan on doing this project if an approval were granted?
We're going to start fairly soon.
Okay. Any other committee questions at this time?
I think I have a question. That patio, that slope of that land is in the direction that that patio is going to lay, right?
That's correct.
So is the fireplace at the end, is that going to be any elevation off of the current elevation? Or is it
No, it's going to be set right down, because the covered area, if I was going towards you, would be at one elevation, and then there'll be an actual step down onto the other 8-10 feet that the fire pit or fireplace would be on. So that will fit into that.
And what type of material you are putting down in front of the fire pit?
It's all going to be stones, various sizes and shapes.
Is it a flagstone patio or is it a paver block?
It'll be a paver block.
Okay, any other committee questions? Thank you. No correspondence or no one registered?
Nope.
Staff?
Here it is, sorry. Was it in your packet? We got it way back on September 14th. That might be why it got buried. Regarding the Tony and Lori Wagner construction variance, dear sirs, my wife Becky and I have the cottage at W5081 Lakewood Court, located next door to Tony and Lori Wagner's property. We have reviewed the plans and design of Tony and Lori's proposed outdoor room. We believe the design of the outdoor room is appropriate for the location on their lot for which it is intended. We have no issues with granting a 15-foot variance from our mutual lot line. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us, and it lists their phone number. Signed sincerely, Gordon Corthals. Is that the one you thought? That's it.
Okay, staff comments?
When the board visited the property, they did observe that this is a fairly large lake parcel, and if it were zoned residential, the side yard setback for construction of covered or uncovered patios would be 15 feet. The septic system location was not readily apparent, especially the tank. There appeared to be ample room for construction on either side of the home, and other alternatives appear to exist. And that was it.
Okay, that, do you have anything in rebuttal or anything to add? Okay, that closes the public hearing for the Board of Adjustments. We will go right into our business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. Okay, I'll call the meeting in order. Roll call will show everyone present.